in our community for their safety and well-being. And bless this nation. We pray for peace to come for us and for the world. And we pray your spirit will be a part of this meeting, this day and always. For it is in your holy name we humbly pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Anybody would like to speak that hasn't signed up, please do so. Matt, I'm going to start with you so you can go ahead and introduce our guests tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Previous to this, or prior to this meeting, we had the reconvening of the Economic Development Committee meeting, where we've been talking about the possible creation of an entertainment destination center for our downtown and some of the benefits and opportunities it is, as well as maybe some of the challenges and concerns. And so that committee charged me with going and seeking 3 communities that would be willing to come and engage this committee to talk about their experiences with their entertainment destination center. And so at that committee meeting, we had a representative from Elizabethtown, Frankfort, and Owensboro, and they're with me here today. So I'd like maybe just have them come up, introduce themselves to you, just give you a little snippet about their program. And then this is the opportunity for the other 4 council members that were not at that committee meeting to engage them and ask any questions. So what I'll do is have them each kind of introduce themselves. They will all 3 stand up here, and then if you have any additional questions, those 3 will be available to answer those questions for you. I'm going to start off with Jessica from Elizabethtown.
Okay.
Council, this counts as my economic development report.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Graham with the City of Elizabethtown. I'm their city clerk and the alcohol administrator. We took on an EDC. We started talking about it in 22. We felt that it would be a viable option for our downtown businesses, and we implemented it in June of 2023, and we have not had any issues. Do you have any questions?
Tim.
Others, and we'll do it as a group?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's do that.
come on.
That's a good idea.
Hi, my name is Blair Hecker. I am the communications manager for the city of Frankfort. Part of my job for the past 5 years prior to being just communications manager has been community engagement coordinator. So I've overseen the special events process for the city of Frankfort and have actually worked with our EDC since we initiated it. We applied for a permit in 2019. We received it in 2020, but due to COVID, we actually did not open it until 2021. It has been a success for our community. Just like E-Town, we have not had any issues. And we have seen that it has been a really great quality of life amenity, an economic driver for new businesses, and it has helped bolster our current businesses. And it's really been a tourism incentive in our community as well.
Thank you, Blair. Tim?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Commissioners, Tim Ross, City of Owensboro. My title is Director of Public Events. So anything that takes place on city property comes through us. And with that, work with the downtown core district quite a bit. And so we were tasked quite a few years ago with looking at generating or creating this EDC district in our downtown entertainment area. And when the state amended their provisions to allow for municipality to gain that license. And so we started that back. We started it in 2018. We implemented it in 2019. Initially, some of our city commissioners were concerned about the perception of having open containers in downtown streets. They were concerned about things for good reason being trash or unruly behavior or enforcement issues. So we limited that initially for our EDC by local ordinance. We could limit that to certain days out of the week. And so we just did during the weekends and during special events. Since that time, just recently, they decided to go back to it because none of those issues have materialized like they thought or that they were concerned about over the years since we've been doing it. And so now we allow those open containers to leave a premise in the specially marked cups anytime drinks are sold by that business and what their license allows. So we have expanded it, the time frame for it, but kept the same footprint that we've had since the beginning. So again, happy to answer any questions. I think all of us are.
Does anyone have any questions, especially the four council members that were not involved in the discussion?
I
Yeah.
have a question. I was there. Real quick,
Pull that mic close.
before I forget my question. When you all started this, like when you first did it, was it just a lot of people just came out and participated, or was it a gradual build-up process?
I'll take that from ours since we were, I guess, one of the early ones. The goal in what we did was to make the area of our downtown core more easily accessible to have those drinks from point A to point B, not trying to promote drinking,
Yeah.
but yet we
Yeah.
have a lot of establishments that sell drinks. And so on the previous ordinance, the way you would have to do it is get a special temporary license or set up a beer garden. So then you're almost encouraging more consumption to guzzle the drink because, hey, our group's trying to get down to that restaurant or down to that band at the far end of the riverfront or down to the Performing Arts Center. And so this allowed more points of sale that you could then take that drink as you're strolling 2 blocks, 5 blocks, 6 blocks back towards the convention center to enjoy your drink and then just sit along the riverfront and enjoy the park scene. So we did not have really a buildup, but we implemented it at the start of our season. So when we have that concert series every Friday night or the special event or July 4th fireworks, whatever it might be. So it wasn't a buildup per se. We had an education element to it from the general public. So they understood that the drinks have to be purchased from a licensed business inside the boundaries of that area. That was something that we had to work on. So folks understood you can't bring your coolers in. You can't bring your, your aluminum cans in with you. Has to be in one of the cups to ensure that it's a sale from one of the licensed businesses there. That was our experience.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Economically, is it cost, the difference between your increased sales and your increased cost of petroleage and everything else?
Sure, I'm happy to answer that. So for the city of Frankfurt, we actually incur the cost of the license fee. And we did do logoed cups, which is something that both of these communities do as well. The city would purchase those in bulk. We would then sell them to our businesses at cost. We have now just a better way to serve our businesses and the city switch to a sticker that is much cheaper, and it allows our businesses to purchase clear cups that they were already purchasing. From an upfront cost, really, I think the things you look at with this EDC is police cost and trash cost. For us, during the normal day-to-day operations outside of a special event, it does not generate any additional public trash than what our community trash cans in our downtown can already handle. It does not fill those up anymore. It does not necessitate any extra pickups for those. It's not any big increase in volume there. For our policing, it has not been anything that we have ever needed any extra patrol for, specifically for this district. We already have a pretty big special event season. We permit and help run about 50 special events within this area every single year. Already with that process, and we did this prior to implementing our EDC, is built in the cost for, the police officers that are required to be there during that special event time for additional trash pickup the following morning after that for setting out extra cans. And we have also not seen an increase in those things either. So those times already had that staff built into it. And it seems like those have stayed true to, there's not been anything additional that's really overrun anything outside that special event permit. Does that help? Does that answer?
A little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
For the city of Elizabethtown, we're lucky enough that we've partnered with tourism, and the city itself pays for the license, which is $2,500, I think $77 roughly. Tourism has said that they don't want a cost to the businesses that participate, so they pay for the cups. And we currently still purchase the cups, and then we invoice that back to tourism, who repays it to us. And then all of the businesses that want to participate, they sign an agreement. They provide additional insurance coverage to us. and we provide them with cups, and we keep a count on that. And that way, if we do feel someone is abusing that, we can address that. And for policing purposes, we started out with the fact that we started on June 1st. We knew all of our SROs would be available. We knew we'd have those extra bike patrols anyway. So the same as Frankfurt, there hasn't been any additional cost on that side for just your day-to-day normal activities. And that includes the trash for us too, because we were also concerned about that. But one of the things that was brought up for our downtown is we wanted to, and we're working on a master plan as we speak, but one of the things we wanted to initiate was more trash receptacles that were nice, more benches for that walkability and resting or taking in what have you. So we've not had any other issues with trash, because that was a big thought, was we don't want anyone coming in on Saturday morning with their family and seeing a lot of trash, or even on Sunday morning, you know, we have a few churches downtown. We didn't want that, but we have not encountered any of these issues that we thought we might.
Anybody else?
I'll just say the same kind of thing. Like, we have the cost of the license itself, of, about $2,500-$2,600. And yeah, there's cost to produce the event, but it's not, over the years that we've been doing it, we've not had increased costs specifically because of the EDC. A lot of the events we do grow. We still have police services that are provided regardless of if the EDC was there or not.
Well, I think you've answered most all the questions. We've been picking your brain since 3:30 today, and I know that you're ready to go home, and I'm sorry. But thank you all for coming. You've been a wealth of information. I've got all y'all's information, and believe me, we will reach out to you when we're ready to do this, or if we're ready. I think Steve, do you want to address this now before they leave, or do you want to wait till your, till I call you? Okay, okay. Other than that, thank you all for coming.
Thanks,
And thanks for
guys.
visiting our city, and we owe you one. Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you. Read of the minutes, August 19th, 2025.
I'll make a motion for the reading of the minutes from August 18th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. General fund warrant number 1636.
I'll make a motion to approve general fund warrant number 1636 as distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Road fund warrant number 1022.
Make a motion, we approve road fund warrant 1022 is distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Opposed?
Motion carried. Entertainment Destination Center, we moved that to the first, so we can just skip over that. First reading of resolution number 832, series 2025.
I'll make a motion for first reading of resolution number 832, series 2025 by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an addendum to the existing contract with Cleaning by Regina for cleaning services for City Hall, senior citizens, and public works on a month-to-month basis until the mayor hires a city employee to be responsible for cleaning these buildings. By way of summary, the original contract was entered into on September the 1st, 2022, and therefore it ended yesterday. This is an addendum that the mayor negotiated with the cleaning service to continue on based upon a 90-day notice contract not to exceed 1 year. And there were some increases with respect to the cleaning that they're going to be doing. They will not be cleaning the police department. The City Hall went from $1,100 to $1,210. Senior citizens went from $1,100 to $1,210, and the public works went from $460 to $500. And as I said, this is subject to termination with 90 days notice from either party. And in any event, it will not exceed 1 year from yesterday. This being a resolution, Madam Mayor, you may entertain a motion for passage.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let me explain that.
If I could, there was a typo on the agenda that listed the number 10 also as 833. I just wanted to make that clear in case anybody's agenda still shows 833. 833 is number 9. Number 10 is 834.
834, right, I got that. Let me kind of explain about this cleaning contract. I'm in debate with myself, if you want to know the truth about it. What is a better way to get this city cleaned? Do we hire our own employee to do it, or do we continue the contract labor? This city, in my opinion, pays way too much money for cleaning services. To think that I'm paying $120,000 a year to have the buildings cleaned in this city, to me, is beyond belief. And I'm trying to figure out how much money that it's going to cost and how many people I'm going to need. And from here, right now, the police contract is still under contract. There's nothing I can do about that right now, but these other 3 buildings are going to come up. So until I decide, we've asked for the extension for 90 days until we decide what we're going to do. So that's why that is the way it is. Thank you. First reading of resolution number 833, series 2025.
I'll make a motion for first reading of resolution number 833, series 2025 by title only.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
A resolution relating to the approval of a revised detailed district development plan and waiver as transmitted from the Louisville Metro Planning Commission for the following development: Vintage 99 Motorcycle Museum, 10203, 10205, and 10205R Taylorsville Road. I noticed that Mr. Rusi has addressed the podium, and he can give a better summary than I can.
Thank you. Yes, as Fred stated, this is a revised development plan with a waiver. For some reason, my clicker. Okay, so this is a request for a waiver of the from the Land Development Code to allow off-site parking to be greater than 1,000 feet from the building for uses requiring the parking, along with the revised development plan for in addition to the salon building and to allow the museum building to be used for events. Next slide. Site is zone CTC2. Next slide. And there's just the aerial photograph. I'm sure you're all familiar with this project. If we go to the next slide. So there's 3 physical changes to the site. At the top there in kind of the light red, they want to build an addition onto the salon building for storage. There's a proposed dumpster that's inside the red cloud. And then at the bottom right in the purple is a patio, which actually is already installed. It was not on the approved plan, so they're requesting approval of the patio for outdoor area. And then they're requesting, let's go to the next slide. That's just a close-up of the 320 square foot building expansion. And the next slide. So they're requesting off-site parking to meet their requirements in order to use the museum building for events. They need more parking than is provided on site. So this exhibit shows the 2 parking lots that they want to lease from the Baptist Church, but they exceed the 1,000 feet. And also, if you go to the next slide, Jefferson Street does not have any sidewalks, so that 1,000 feet's required to be measured from each property based on sidewalks and crosswalks. Since there's no crosswalks or sidewalks along Jefferson Street and it exceeds the 1,000 square feet, they're requesting that waiver. And if we go to the next slide. So because of the distance, for safety reasons, we're requesting that they use a shuttle service from the parking lot, off-site parking lots to the property. And, those are reflected in the binding elements. They had proposed valet, but we had some concerns with the valet that a lot of people get there at the same time. There's not enough room to stack on property, that traffic, the cars would be backed up onto Taylorsville. So for safety's sake, we'd rather have it off-site and be shuttled to the property. I know they have some issues that the developer will address. We're saying the off-site shuttle would have to make a right out of the property to go down to College, or Grand Avenue and around, Bluebird, Watterson Trail to, Shelby Street to get to the parking lots just for safety's sake, because we all know that it can be difficult to make a safe left-hand turn onto Taylorsville Road. So I think they might have issues with 18 and number 20 as well. They would like to make an amendment, but I'll let Mr. Ashburner address that. Are there any questions?
Excuse me, Steve, before they proffer any questions, let's let Mr. Ashburner make his case on this, and then you can come back.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
It's good
Tim.
to see you, and hopefully, as much as I love coming out here, I hope that this is maybe the end of the motorcycle museum conversation, because I think we've worked really hard. Steve's worked hard. We've tried to come up with a plan, and we want that plan to be detailed enough so that everybody kind of knows what the rules are, flexible enough for our client to be able to use his property in accordance with the zoning. So that's what we're talking about really tonight. The revised plan was needed in order to allow the use of the building for event space, not tied to the museum itself. There is, I think, a pretty good argument that a certain number of events associated with the museum is normal. But having events that are not directly tied to the museum is something that we wanted to clean up. And so that's what we've done. Now, a couple of things I just want to mention. I don't know if you have the full set of binding elements in front of you. You should. Okay. A couple of things I wanted to point out. Number one, a couple of these have already been performed. So binding element 12, which talks about making sure the facade is consistent with the motorcycle museum building, that's done. The trees have already been planted behind the property. That's number 13. Number 14, Mitch has already had a signed, Mr. Barnes has got a signed agreement with the church to allow for the use of the parking. Late last week, Steve asked for some modifications to that agreement. We have
If I could interrupt you just one
Sure.
minute, I have one, but it hasn't been signed by your client.
correct.
Okay.
I'm getting there. There were some changes that were requested. I've gone through those changes with Mr. Barnes. We don't think that's going to be a problem, but we need to get both parties to sign that agreement and provide that. So I would ask that if you do take action, and I hope that you will, to approve the revised plan, meaning voting yes for this resolution and the next resolution that will come before you, I ask that you make that on condition that we provide a signed agreement to Mr. Fisher for his review. We'll have that for you, but I had to make those couple minor changes to it and get it re-signed by the church. Okay?
Minor changes, can you articulate what they are?
Sure. One was correcting the address of the parking area. There was another parking area associated with the church. They wanted us to use this one. That was one. One was an indication that if the arrangement were terminated, that the grantor, meaning the church, would provide notice to the city. Last,
I have the list. You need it, Cliff?
no, I've got, it was another, more of a limitation on vehicles in the parking lot. There was a typo in paragraph 1 of the
Paragraph
lease.
1.
Steve made note of it in the email to me. It read, parking spaces shall be limited to, and then it says grantee shall not park vehicles outside the area. So I said parking spaces shall be limited to passenger vehicles. So in any event, they're relatively minor changes to the existing agreement. We'll go ahead and make sure that those are cleared with Fred.
I agree they are minor and we can accept those. And I'd recommend it to the mayor for signature, but we'll hold up her signature until we receive that
That's fine.
signed document.
Yeah. The other is, binding element 17 and binding element 20, wanting to make those consistent. So binding element 17 says offsite parking shall be, the offsite parking lots are required to be used for any event taking place in the museum building that exceeds the capacity of the provided on-site parking spaces, which is 36 spaces. Patrons shall be directed, et cetera, et cetera. We wanted to make 20 consistent to state that no events requiring more than 35 parking spaces, I guess it should be 36, shall be held during the times and days that the off-site parking is not available for use. So the way that it was put to us made it seem like no events can be held no matter how big unless the off-site parking was available for use. There are limitations in the agreement on hours. We wanted to make it clear that smaller events that could use the on-site parking could be held at the property at times when the off-site parking was not available. So, small business meeting, something like that. 20 cars, 25 cars instead of 60 cars. Existing. And then the one that we do, I would request that you remove, and this has to do with a couple of things. Sorry, can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm sorry.
Kind of.
I saw you go like that. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure you could hear me.
Yeah. No, I
You
can
talk
hear
a
you.
little tiny bit louder.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little louder.
Sorry. The binding element 18 that says the shuttle service and then directs the shuttle driver which way to go. But we think there are a couple of reasons why that needs to be removed. First is we don't know when these events are necessarily going to take place. I would completely agree that if the event concludes between 4 and 6 p.m., the shuttle driver is going to take a right because he's not going to be able to take a left. On the other hand, if an event concludes at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, there might not be any problem taking a left on Taylorsville Road and taking a more direct route to the parking lot. So that's number one, is it presumes that Taylorsville Road cannot be, you cannot turn left ever. And no other business that I'm aware of in Jeffersontown has a condition on it like this. Usually those conditions are put in place, especially because Taylorsville Road is a state road, by the state in terms of the design of the entrance to the property. So if you have an unsafe condition, the state is going to say you need a right in, right out entrance, or maybe you need right in only. Or they're gonna put those conditions in place when you get your encroachment permit, which is a little bit different than what's being asked of here. Mr. Barnes and the shuttle company have no interest in operating a shuttle unsafely in a way that's going to cause problems for other people. But to say that it is a violation of a binding element for a shuttle driver to take a left at some point out of this property when that left can be safely taken, I think is going a little bit beyond what binding elements typically cover. For the most part, binding elements cover things that are happening on the property, not the behavior of vehicles when they leave the property. So that's why we would ask that that binding element be eliminated. We've agreed to the shuttle service and prohibiting valet. That is something that the presence of a valet system is something that's happening on the property, it's something that Mr. Barnes can agree to forego. But we think that, directing a shuttle driver to take a specific route to a parking lot is just going, it's going just a little bit too far.
Cliff, you know, I think that was put there, because there have been so many wrecks there on Taylorsville Road. I guess that's why that was like that.
Oh, I understand the intention and I agree with the intention,
Right.
frankly. I just think that there has to be a point at which you say,
Right,
we're going to let this person who has got a, commercial
Right.
driver's license or a driver's license at the very least, operate a vehicle. And we're not going to tell them which way to go. At certain times, they're absolutely going to take that right. They're going to do the circle because that's what they need to do to operate safely. At other times, there might not be a problem, and I don't see a problem in doing it. So that's why we'd ask that be removed. So with the modification of making binding element 20 consistent with binding element 17 and the elimination of binding element 18, I think Mr. Barnes would agree to the binding elements that have been worked out with Steve. And I would ask that you support the resolution. I would ask that you support the next resolution, which deals with the parking lots themselves as well.
If
I have
we-
a question
If
with
we
the,
could, before you
Oh.
go any further with questions, could Steve address those three
Sure,
particular
yeah.
ones? Do you have any real concerns about those?
As far as binding element 20, binding element 17 was amended by Louisville Metro Planning to the third. I don't think anybody objected to that. I don't mind amending binding element 20 to allow for small events that would not offset parking. As far as 18 goes, I think that came from a group discussion, so I'm not coming up with that. We were looking at it as a safety standard. Reason why some that we need to
Cliff, would you all have any reservation to putting that time frame in there, 4 to 6?
I think, I understand the desire to kind of get to a middle point. I just have to say, if there was another business in Jeffersontown that had a requirement or a restriction on how a vehicle operates when it leaves that site, I guess I would think the discussion was a little more appropriate in terms of the subjects that are typically contained in a binding element. I understand the city's desire to maintain safe roadways, whether they're city roads or state roads. I totally get that. But it would be the first time that I think I've ever seen a binding element directing. I mean, I've seen binding elements where they say, a truck can't idle within 200 feet of a residence when it's on the site.
Cliff, you
Or-
know, what happened, I think, in the very beginning is that Mitch had his grand opening at the worst time you could ever have a grand opening. He had it on a Friday night at 5 o'clock, and Taylorsville Road is packed going back and forth. He had parking across the street. People were trying to get across the street. I mean, all we could see is that there will be somebody's going to be hit there. And I think they were just trying to avoid whatever may happen. And it was just a bad choice of times, I think, maybe a Sunday afternoon or something, or later on the night or something. But 5 o'clock on Friday is crazy on Taylor's Road. So I think that's what that was.
And again, totally understand that, totally agree with the goal. Just don't know that a binding element tied to a piece of land that directs a driver
To turn.
to turn a certain way is an appropriate subject for a binding element. I'm sorry.
I guess, one thing, consideration is you're bringing us into it too by us giving you a waiver and parking way off site, 1,000 feet away, that you're bringing us into it. Somehow, we could be affected by, unsafe procedures, normally they wouldn't be able to do that. But since you're bringing us into it by having
Parking
Uh,
off-site.
off- a special, a special accommodation to have us on site being 1,000 feet away, then we're sort of brought into it.
I mean, I certainly the shuttle service is tied to the off-site parking.
Yeah.
I, no, I just don't agree that it's,
I agree. I mean, I see what you're saying too. On a Saturday, about 4 to 6 probably is not an issue.
Right.
There's not rush hour, there's not people coming and going from work. So I agree with what you're saying with that fine, that number 18. So, but I do see that if you had an event during rush hour, but you would hope the driver can make a sensible decision. What kind of shuttle is it? Is it,
think that,
is it a bus?
it really depends on the event. We don't know.
they park turn left, they're gonna
Again, it depends on the event. Not gotten that far yet, frankly. I mean, there could be, you know, you can imagine a, let's say a dressier event. Somebody wants to have a Mr. Barney's gonna have a Mr. Shuttle. Somebody who wants to have a mahjong tournament, church fan.
But you know, if it's a driver, familiar with this road, they're not gonna realize how fast.
So whoever's renting the space, they're providing the shuttle, or is it going to be a company that you guys contract with? Contract with the company?
Yeah.
So that would be familiarity again.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky events. I say, well, I'm fine with it. Get rid of number 18. But then next thing, what happens? Somebody gets hit, killed, and I'll be like, oh. No, but
Yeah.
More restrictions on, and they take the right-hand turn because it's between cars they have to, and there's no, do we get brought in that way also? Totally understand the concern, and, okay, 4 to 6, 4 to 7, some of that,
I'll say I think I'm kind of neutral or more on the side of Cliff here on this one. If they're contracting with a company, that company's going to want to follow what's best for their business, and turning left at 4 o'clock is probably not good for the business. So I think that it would be that, I don't have a problem with it being removed.
well,
But I'm
any
not
regular
passionate one way or
person,
the
we could go to an event and we're gonna make that decision. Ooh, it's clear that way, clear that way. I'm going left.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So like,
I want to go this way. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I know, Tim, you said know the area. That's why if you contract with a company, they're the ones always doing it. They get familiar with the area. I think that would probably be a conversation Mitch and them would have with that company now that we're having it here, depending on which way it goes. But with number 20, you said you wanted to make it like 17. So like if off-site parking is required, events can occur, or I'm trying to understand the logic behind what needed to get changed in number 20.
And Steve can correct me if I misstate any part of this. Steve and I have gone back and forth a couple times with minor changes to the set of binding elements that he proposed once Metro sent its recommendation to you. Okay, binding element 17, I believe, was part of the Metro recommendation. Steve added binding element number 20 because the parking use agreement does have limitations on times. Okay, so the church wants to use its parking
For
certain
church, yeah.
times. And the times when it's not being used is when it's available for use at the museum. So he was the one who said, well, no events can take place during the times when you can't have the off-site parking. And I was just trying to make it consistent between 17 and 20 to say, and I'm not even sure 20 is ultimately necessary, but just to make it clear that events can be held as long as they're below a 36 parking space demand, even during those times when the off-site parking's not available. Because I know there have been a few events that Mitch has hosted already where there are, 20 people there. There's no need for off-site parking.
So would it be like off-site parking would be required when the 36 spaces are full? Is that essentially, or when it's laid
Essentially,
out in
yeah.
a parking agreement?
As long, and it's a little bit of, planning on the front end, right?
Mhm.
So if Mitch says, I'm going to lease to, let's say, an economic development group, or I'm going to be part of a tour where a group of people are going to come by, and that group of people's 25 people, well, then he knows I can do that whenever it fits the schedule.
Mhm.
On the other hand, if it's a group of 50 or 60, and they say, we are not being brought to you, I'm sure you've all been to weddings where wedding party, so there's 30 people that are on a bus and everybody else shows up in a car, or something like that. Then he's got a decision to make. Do I think I'm going to exceed the demand? If I think I'm going to exceed the demand, I need to make sure to schedule that in time that the offsite parking is available. So it was really just designed to allow, again, 20 to be consistent with 17. We're not going to be able, in finding elements that are tied to zoning, to deal with every possible scenario. I'm just trying to make it.
Gotcha. Steve, was 20 designed to make sure that the only off-site parking were the two listed in this update?
Yes, the parking agreement, which is where this stems from, which is listed as titled Parking Space Use Agreement. Those are limited to the two off-site parking spots.
And so 20 was to make sure that like another lot wasn't used with a shuttle service.
20 was added just to make sure that, because once we got that, and I just got that last week, the parking agreement, once we read it and realized that there were excluded times, we wanted to make sure that they weren't holding an event that needed those spaces at a time that they could not use them, that the church had blocked out.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I have no issues with changing that to no events.
Is there going to be any place to prevent people from parking across the street? Because I could see if this becomes a big event center and you really start ramping it up, you're going to say, well, we're just going to park on the street. Yeah. That's my scare is people walking.
That's what happened that night, and I had to talk to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, clearly parking is going to be on site or
Off-site. Yeah,
off site, get the shuttle.
Right.
How y'all going above and beyond?
I'm sorry.
I said y'all are going above and beyond, y'all doing what you can do to get off
Yeah.
site. You're not asking them to do it.
And if I can, finding element 17 does direct them to direct Mr. Barnes to direct patrons to those offsite lots.
Yeah, that's great.
To
Yeah.
have those addresses, so they are required to do that. Nobody can stop
No, you can't.
And those would be the only lots that the shuttle would go to.
So, that's all fine.
Thank you very much.
This is a resolution. You may entertain a motion for passage. For discussion, you can have other discussion.
Yeah, I think, do we still need to decide
Well,
on,
if we're gonna, yeah, change some of this.
change some of this stuff first, yeah,
It sounds like the only point of contention is the right turn only
18.
out of the trolley.
I think we need to just strike that.
I think so too. I'm not,
I think 18 can be taken out.
that's my opinion. I
you
don't know everybody else.
I said, I think 18 should be taken out.
Taken out? Okay.
Make a motion.
Make a motion that we take 18 out.
So make a motion for approval of first reading resolution number 833 series 2025 with the
Deletion.
deletion of binding on 18 and the, I guess, amendment of what we talked about with number 20.
The amendment of,
Number 20.
14 and 17, is it? Well,
Yeah, for
And
20 to
20.
match 17 by title only.
Also, I would,
That motion.
also I would ask that that motion include
Oh, the
that,
contract.
this will not be final until such time as we receive the signed parking agreement and a signed copy of the binding elements as they as revised.
That was my entire first reading, my entire motion.
So move. Second.
Oh,
Second.
And where
Second.
seconded? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First reading resolution number 834, series 2025.
I'll make a motion for the first reading of resolution 834, series 2025 by title only.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
A resolution relating to the approval of a revised detailed district development plan and waiver as transmitted from the Louisville Metro Planning Commission for the following development: Baptist Church parking lot, 10041 and 10405 Shelby Street. And, Steve, you want to address that?
Okay, this is a revised detailed district development plan that's tied to the previous case, because this is one of the parking lots that the Baptist Church owns that's off-site. When they proposed this site, we looked at it, I realized it was a plan certain property and was originally approved for, their approved development plan was for apartments. So the site had not been developed in accordance with that approved plan. And it was originally zoned R7, which you couldn't do a parking lot in without a conditional use permit. During one of our area-wide rezonings, we've rezoned it to CTC1, which does allow a parking lot. So it's a legal use on the property, but we need them to amend that, revise that development plan to match what's on the site. This parking lot was constructed, as best as I can tell, going back on the aerial photos, sometime before 1997. So it's been there a long time. They are not proposing to make any physical changes other than maybe sealing it and striping it. The pavement's existing. I know it's a little confusing because there's these landscape waivers, but those are all because of existing conditions. They're requesting, if you can move forward. There's the site. There's a waiver to reduce the tree canopy. There's 4% tree canopy on site, so they're not removing any trees or anything. They just were requesting that. They don't always meet the 5-foot property perimeter all the way around it because of existing conditions. The interior landscape area, if they say 5% down to 0, there technically is a little bit of ILA, interior landscape area. Sorry, I use these acronyms. On the site, and then of course revise the detailed district development plan. There were no issues at the planning commission. They made recommendation of approval, and then this just brings the Baptist Church into compliance. a recommendation of approval.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Committee reports. Ruth,
Administration has nothing to report.
Mark Russell,
I'll adopt Mr. Rusi's, presentation since,
Vince Grisanti,
Public Works has no report. Thank you.
Pam Hickey,
I have nothing from Parks and Rec, but I do have a question about, someone from Brookstone Estates approached me about it. Along Walmart, on that side of Walmart down past, what's those apartments there?
Boulder Creek.
Boulder Creek. There's no sidewalk there.
Right.
Is there a reason there is no sidewalk there?
money.
Never got put in.
It is a state road.
That is a state road. That is correct. There are a lot of gaps on that segment of Recreational Parkway between Tells Road and Billtown Road. It goes also by the post office. The city several years ago funded the design of the sidewalk improvement project to infill all those missing gaps. And we currently do have funding being held at KIPTA to build them whenever the match funding is available. So the project's already been it's already been designed. It's just
Been designed.
hasn't been able to secure the final part of the funding request through an MOA to actually make the project go into construction.
Matt, is
So-
it about $1 million?
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I think it was like 1.2 is what the engineer's estimate was. Because there's a lot of big ditches along there, so there's a little bit of drainage improvements that need to happen in order to facilitate some of the sidewalk improvements.
It's been there for a long time.
So it's
but we
it's
haven't-
there whenever it's the will of this council to advance that project. We could construct it.
Well, I mean, she just said, it's so dangerous when you're trying to push a baby stroller
Mm-hmm.
down there to go uptown, to prevent some things. But I'll tell her that it's,
Matt, our cost on that would be the 1.2.
The full construction dollars, so 20% of that would be what our expense would be.
Pam where?
I have no report.
Thank you. Mark Bloom,
No report for finance and then nothing else for me.
thank you. Allison,
I have no report.
Tim,
Economic Development did an earlier report.
thank you. Matt, you got anything else? No. Julie, you got anything? Debbie, come on up.
Wanted to let the council and the mayor know that as of yesterday, pool season has come to an end. So the summer has come to an end. And so the pool closed yesterday, the splash park closed yesterday too. So that's all shut down. But I kind of wanted to do a recap of what our summer was like because it was a very busy summer. So what I did is I went through all of our events that we did and kind of guesstimated, talked to people what they thought, how many people attended, different things like that. We had 4 trolley nights. They started in May. They went May, June, July, and August. We averaged about 300 to 400 people on the trolley each Friday night. So that was about 300 to 400, about 1,200 to 1,500 people rode that trolley for the last 4 Fridays in the summer months. Farmers Market. Farmers Market has been such a success this year. I've had several vendors, restaurants, places tell me that Saturday mornings the town is alive. It's hopping. There's cars parked everywhere. The vendors are very happy. Their sales are up. We do this for 27 weeks, 27 Saturdays. It goes from April 26th to October 25th. On our peak season, which I would consider that from June, July, and August, we're averaging about 500 people a Saturday that comes there. So it's a very, very busy market. It's a great market. I really attribute a lot of that to the different events that we're doing. We've done T-shirts this year. People are happy. They're excited to be there. They're always coming up. With sitting up there on Saturdays, you see a lot of the same people, and they're getting their tomatoes or their corn or their honey. So it's a hopping in little place on a Saturday morning. August 1st, we had the summer concert. We had about 2,500, 2,000 to 2,500 people. It was amazing. The food trucks and the vendors said they were so excited for with what they sowed that they want to come back next year. And with that being said, mark your calendars. We do have Todd coming back to J-Town on June 20th next year. So that you'll hear more about that, I'm sure. But so that was such a success. We had 2 concerts at the Tway House this year. We had about 300 people between both of them. It's a great little venue. Lots of neighborhood people come, sit, they ride their bikes up there. We have food trucks, so it's a great venue for the neighborhood. Night markets. We had 4 night markets, and May was our biggest market. We had about 1,500 people. July was our lowest attending because it rained. So we had about 200 to 300, but on average, we did about 500 to 750 people would come on a June and August. So they were well attended. And the best part with our night markets, the vendors pay for the night market. So it doesn't cost the city anything to have those night markets. So they pay for the $25, $30, $25. So it's a great thing to have on a Saturday night in J-Town. Summerfest rained. So we had about 500 people that came to that event. So if you tally all of this up, we had about 15,000 people attend our events this summer. That's a big number to come in our downtown and support our businesses, support Jeffersontown, and see what we keep saying. J-Town's a great place to live, work, and play. And 15,000 people in our little neighborhood here is amazing to me. We do have another fun event coming up on October 11th. It's a Saturday. It's called the J-Town Hop. And what we're going to do, we're going to have a trolley that's going to go to the various restaurants, winery, the beach, parlor. I'm still going around to get all of the okays from the restaurants and places so I can advertise for them. But it's going to be 21 and over, and they're going to be able to go to the different places. It's going to take them around. I'm going to make passports. So it'll say Beer Nose, and Beer Nose will have a stamp and they'll mark it off. So if they get a full passport by the end of the night, then that council meeting is actually October 21st. We'll do a drawing here, and that person will win a gift bag of some items from the places that participate. Everybody I've gone to see said that they are thrilled, they're happy. The town's going to be decorated for Halloween. It's going to be a very fun environment, so they can walk, they can do a trolley. So it should be a fun night. This idea came around from a 23-year-old boy I know. And he said, Mom, why don't y'all ever do anything like this in J-Town? He goes, everything is for the people. If we want to do something like this, we have to go to Bardstown Road. There's not a J-Town Bambi walk. So I started talking and we said, you know what? We used to do this. It was called the J-Town Crawl. So we try to reincarnate it. And I think we'll have a great time with that. So, but that's on October 11th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Do y'all have any questions?
No, Debbie, I can just say that all the comments I get on my texts and emails, people are so excited that we've been doing so many events here. And I thought we did a lot of events, but evidently we haven't.
Yeah.
Compared to the other cities, they told me tonight 90 to 120 events that they have. So I couldn't handle them because I'm so busy with all these. So,
Yes.
I mean, I think we're doing good and people love what we're doing.
People do love it. It's nice seeing J-Town alive on Saturday nights and Friday nights. You drive through town and people are walking and food trucks and
Are we
Karam's is
doing-
hopping. So it's a good place to be.
Are we doing a night market in October too with this
No,
trolley? No?
no.
Okay, I knew it
No,
had been
it's
tossed
not.
around.
No. We
Okay.
didn't have enough time to do
Okay.
that. So no, they're done for the year. We'll start them back next May.
Okay. What about,
We might have something at Christmas time.
okay.
We haven't got that far yet, but
What about
we're working on
October?
it.
What about Oktoberfest or not Oktoberfest? but,
Or the
Pumpkin
Halloween.
Fest,
Yeah.
Pumpkin Fest will be October 25th.
Okay.
And that is actually in the magazine. It was the incorrect time. It's going to be in the morning because I think the magazine said it was going to be from 6 to 8, which it's too dark and it's too late for kids that late. I think we said it was going to be from 11 to 1. I'll have to double check my time.
Okay.
So it's going to be down here on the town square again, trick or treat and all that fun stuff. So yes. But I'll get you all that, information, Allison.
Great summer, Debbie. Thank you.
It
for all
was a
your
good
work.
summer. It
Appreciate
was a good summer. Anybody else? Anything else? All righty, thank you.
Brian, you got anything? Chief and Steve.
Just based on the presentations, if you do decide to move forward with the EDC, I would like to be included in any meetings looking at the area that would be included because there are some zoning concerns that need to be addressed if depending on the size and scope of it. So
Okay. You know, the only thing I was thinking, you know, I know we have to put you know, it's going to go from maybe from one archway to another archway, but I wouldn't want it to be like Park Avenue or, you know, I guess we can delete those. I don't know. We got to find a way to mark them. So I guess now this will go into a committee is what should happen.
It's still in committee.
Huh?
It's in committee.
Yeah, okay. So we need to decide when we're gonna decide what we're gonna do on that. We need to decide what we're gonna decide. So Matt, huh?
Those that attended that. Those are. How did you all streets we could include in it, but I was thinking you've got two to be part of the beer club, so
Let's say do something out front. That they
so that would, I'm just saying that I thought about it.
It might be like public there. Eagles has, on Fridays, it's public.
Anybody else? Nope. Thank you, Debbie, Julie. Thanks for helping at the pool. I appreciate it. And all the night markets and everything you all have helped with. Yesterday it was crazy at the pool. We decided to get rid of all the food and did everything for $1. I never cooked so many hot dogs so fast in all my life. So we're on it. Thank you, guys. See you next meeting.
Make motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. You would have thought we were giving away T-bone steaks.